Ya cheche amuma munyina mama juma braso so mamuni amaudo beso nsamo a yakekese ne awie ye ba ne de ba besomo we ye nsamo a atwakre hinke bo pata bebrese pasoche wo mamu ene amamfo nkro so amompetre pene mpatra pa magi atum na ba bia wo bia ne ye ba ne de ba besomo nsam ne doso na poso enie ye bewram na Owia TV nsam twefo de ani akwakohwe abana montuo bia watuo se free ne ko makwan emo bia mfa anwa entwemu emfa Ghana aso de ko baabi no yebekọ yakwa korewura madimu nkomo pa
Ghana so ene Burkina Faso mpanyifo atenase akontiase apamo ebeboa ayere bambo ho ensem
na mraso geni o mraso gefie ma de se wo se hwajabo so abato mpeso aso agenda 111 ensem no wakasa de afa ho
dom kuma wo mrahye begafie nso akasa o mokachira ban ne se hye da bi da ho a eno ka ban ne hye di so anka beboa makoko ho sema ye adenti ena wo sa ban no koye koko ho hye foforo
na electoral commission penimpa ne special kwesi Peter mampeni dwoma ma agya wo no mu a wanyo mo hwe no amandisifu bi bonyo so kra
yenim se yenuano muslimifo afri omo akomche kronkron no Owia Kaseɛ Vice President Adema Ghana Her Excellency Professor Jane na opokwa jeman akoya yesan eden sempa eja womo
abzanfo we ni afoforo pinu an yakekese ne se Kaseɛ ba bia wo bia na wie ye ba ne de aba besom wo asra piesie no enkoma dwaben rural bango se adwuma bia wo ye bia ena ope cash kakra ope jet kakra na odi atre wasem dia ye adwuma dwabirura bank ne kamfo omo dia mawo omo bia omo branches na pono ato no ma obi bia sika bia wo pe bia adwuma bia wo ye bia no pesa one dwabirura bank ene bedi dwa na fe sese de aduane a wo bia die eye emo pafie omo emo premium ene super premium rice na wo sese obi a di bie evisa no nso de ono a o kama pa eye moa o ma udi a nso wadi mu won ze wadi mu pa abza form na aso ya sinema wian bia wo bia ne ye ba ne ye ba besomo yangwe
enyano ma oti enke wiai eyeme ajwa nyako abron mamene
na ya bo amalibia boga
Owia Kaseɛ boni mai na yemfa nsama hodo esaka ne fi ha munchiremo yemfa nsomo yenim se ena kakranie na oman Ghana yedwedifo bia womokofa entos de free Burkina Faso womo ekoya area fofianto ata ebi ekohye omo ekohye wu abi nso prapra mu oden ayeno ekoye asama oman nyina yekura ne hwehwe na yenim se panyifo akasa dodo na Ghana fo ade hyenso akasa de etia de ekoso wo Burkina Faso no ye kasai oman Ghana panyifo titiriw ene osafo hye amahodo ensem so honorable Samuel Okudjeto ablakwa ene afe panyifo mo free Burkina Faso akwakotena se edi nkomodo mo sa hyentiase apam beyese enso biase eno eba beboa ama Ghana ene Burkina Faso ayonkofa de yentem no yebehye mo kina na afen so bamba honsam so ya jiri mutitiru ne adwadifo a wo mo efriye man mo kohokodidwa ene afo mo so mo fri ha eba ebedi dwa panyifo chese we ye no ebetumi aboa ama niam nyina aye kama ma de si na no no a anya asem da ma o man yahwede ade hye bese wo twe no sa re hosem no ebi ensi biom na honorable Samuel Okudjeto ablakwa ewie yogina simpie so wakasa ero koso echire mu se afi etwa mu Ghana mampanyi John Dramani Mahama ene afeyewra Ibrahim Tuari Burkina Faso mampanyi esanso kodidi nkomo bi edefa bagledam a eya na ye bia na ade hye bebre no omo mantifido mantamu ho no wo mo atwiafo majapade no omo fudie so no saa de ni nyina ho hyehyeye kasante ase apam mampanyifo akotena se a wo mo agye atumti we no ba beboa ama adwadifo afika kwa ama hodo so titinu Burkina Faso ekofa ne yoma eba na ekwamukafo na ramtofo akwakohye omakoyo mo bone sane ye manyina etu betwa na afi so atuwenche mu ebasa bagledam no enhya hodo apanyifo di gu akwam ebaboa ama no so ho dwumadie enyina akoye honorable Samuel Okudjeto ablakwa
Ibrahim Traore met in January and in March of 2025 and tasked us as foreign ministers to reactivate our bilateral cooperation. And I am delighted to report today that we have not only complied with the directives from our two presidents, but we have made a lot of progress. Today, our deliberations have culminated in the signing of very important agreements. In our deliberations, we also discussed the security situation. We condemned the latest violent extremist attack that took place in Titao, where a number of Ghanaians lost their lives, and also our fellow Burkinabés. We have decided to deepen our security cooperation. We are currently negotiating a security framework which will help.
Samuel Oku Jeto Ablakwa.
Afem fomo enko dwedie ni sikasem mu kakrai. Na osofo sikasem no ntutu yeso ye Dr. Kaseɛ Atoba Force nene wajina tumi a mampani John Dramani mama gonja de sekonkro jatagma so prosro wedie e de amano so amasese wahye se free neko anwa ya ye de no anuane wo ye fiefiem ene restaurant ahodo no ene yi se hu se obi di bi nam Ghana mema sei e de call ma bia so a na geso ya no watomra o se emra ene ne di na no ada eno ne Ghana Revenue Authority GR mpanimfo ekokochia ya na omo edwendwene kwan ombefa so na omo atimi agiska fatoɔ ɛho na agya omo ede abɔman no bra ne mu a ɛna omo ɛkwakɔ no sɛ nipa bonfo bi atikuo bi a anya ne sɛ omo akra anwa ede abeguta krade habo anase tema habo na bi omo sese gu kam na omo de akobokina anase bi omo de akoko d'Ivoire anase bi kro omo de akomali num na wode namusa namsire mu hono mu a na yes wasa dane de ababe wro omayimo na yeyi niema na etone wabra etu a wose wotua duty a wose otua no wo ya na entua sa na omukọ hunsa de no na ora Atoba Forcing ene GR mpenimfo ye nhyehyeye se efri na ekọ oma bia obeyi anwa omayimo se ode efa fom ede akone maso no enya de aga na ban ebe prensa nhyehyeye no so efri na ekọ aban ye nhyehyeye se ye de anwa nyina befa nsuo so ene ye se mali na wose ekọ a no mo edi afa nsuo no so no mo de akwa kogu onum se eye Burkina Faso so a no mo edi afa nsuo so sense omo ebe omadwen so omo kwa akoyie no mo edi egu articulator ka mu se omo edi fafom afa Ghana ha se akoeba sa no a yesi nipa bidinum ena mo ntrekesene na da akwa so esesa nkrata no ebekwa akowia se na to a also mutua edi ma Ghana ban no no mo ankwa nkutua sa eka yesi oman no kese ababe soaye efasa eniema no ho nya asem ketoa Dr. Kaseɛ Atoba Force nyadaje echeche nsemo ene sasa mu edichire.
I am very disgusted about what happened yesterday and very, very, very disappointed. I say this because, you see, if you have a country with such magnitude of development challenge, where unemployment is high, up to date, school children are studying under trees, where we struggle to fund free senior high school, where basic amenities, even at certain hospitals, are a challenge, and you see revenue leakage of such magnitude, you get disappointed. And it's coming from customs. I will say it as it is. What happened yesterday was nothing short of organized crime. It's a group of citizens coming together to do.
Dr. Kaseɛ Atoba Forcing woye mrasebe dwani owo mrasebe dwafima de hye wo adwumako enyen abato empesua so na abuziafo yete ne nke nyina ye mra na one customs ne mpanimfo ahia efa ekwan a nipa binom efa ntrekesene na da kwan so ede anwa befa omayemo na etu ewo so mutua omo entua emfama aban
yanto so na yenko kokko ho ensem wa ina ukọ mrasebedwafia abedwako a wo hye omanyi economy ho nsem so ani afei omanyi mpuntuo ho ensem so the friends of Parliament Economy and Development Committee no opanya wono ye domkuma no kasamafo wokuo ne so ye honorable Kwadwo Opon enkromofo ase bi emrahye bedwani eno no na wo se ontiase se adate na abanyi ese se no wo ye kokko ho hyehyɛ foforo aye hyehyɛ foforo no eba beboa ama kokko akuafo ho ato mo no omudwumadi ahodo ene afo musikasem nyina enso ayeyi honorable Kwadwo Opon kroma ekyese abandada no ebra no wokɔ IMF no ne IMF kotena se edidi komo ema abandada no eye kokko ho hyehyɛ ede to ho anka de ka ya ene se nka yedi beye adwuma na abantugu abana aban foforo betena so dia na ne ye wo sa abanyi ehye na anka kokko nsakraye ne memra ahodo no a wo mo ye kane no ka aban ne hye no fa eno enye adwuma adeti e na wo sa aban no sa be ka cha Ghana for so wo say ye koko ho hyehyeye foforo honorable Kwadwo Opon Kroma say wonte ase.
So tomorrow, if the spot price brings us to 2.5, the cocoa farmer who has spent 3 years on his farm, has hired labor, has sprayed his farm, has bought fertilizers, has incurred all sorts of costs, 3 years of investment towards harvesting. If on the day of harvesting, the prices come down to 2.5, what the NDC is telling us is that the reset means they will pass on that cost and give him 70% of that. That will be dangerous and inimical to the cocoa industry. That is a key component of the reform that they have to take away. They have to ensure that we go back to the predominantly forward sales approach so that we will be able to guarantee the cocoa farmer a certain price. That is the only way you encourage somebody to make an investment. Investors like certainty. That's the only way you can guarantee somebody to take a loan or to do whatever and go and set up 10 acres, 20 acres, 30 acres of a cocoa farm because he can see some certainty at the end. If you cannot do that and you say that you are moving the cocoa roads here, bringing domestic production, and now they say domestic financing. Let me tell you, domestic financing in real terms, what it means is this, that you will do the cocoa bonds in cedi terms on the Ghanaian market and take away the forex exposure without syndication. That's what it really means. But it is a function of how much liquidity there is within the Ghanaian investor community. So here's what will happen. Assuming they say the $1 billion that was coming by syndication, don't go for it again. They've now converted it to 10 billion cedis and they've listed it on the Ghana Stock Exchange or as a local bond to go and buy. The question is, the average poor Ghanaian, does he have 10 billion cedis to go and buy that paper? The answer respectfully is no. So the same foreign investor who would have come through the syndicated loan, he will now come through the local asset management companies and purchase. You haven't really solved any syndicated loan. The only difference is that the currency exposure is what you have shifted from the syndicated to the domestic. So that in itself does not solve the problem. It only takes away the currency exposure. They create the impression that we are not going to look for, if you listen to the president's remarks, we are not going to look for syndicated loan or money from abroad. We can finance our own cocoa from who has that liquidity. In the end, it's the foreign investors who are coming through the asset management company.
Kroma, one now call Fonsia Europea, or Yama Shebania, or some additional home, my Shebja, few homes of your qua, or more share economy home some and my input on some sort of Kuma was one or no, na yomo customer for near test on so Eden Semi to J.
Now, Honorable Kwadwo Opon Kroma Mananso, no actually 24-hour economy. Obeka and so Mampene John Dramani Mama ni and this Amanyukuno at the year campaign din 2024 elections in Moa Ghana for Pinoa enye mujidie to ababum at the Mampene John Dramani Mama ni and this Amanyukuno Honorable Kwadwo Opon Kroma Kasa de fa ho say 24-hour economy no ya ebe yi nemum say omo kwa akoye niema no che say bia say nsuo kra no wo ye e na so onye bia nopa no onye bia wia no onye bia nwumre na so ye wie ni ye nya tofo amoma ma meto a ade echi anya de obesa so akwakoye biewu enti abasa no a na 24-hour economy no a wo say ho bo no na eye adwuma na say yekoye anase ye ba basa na mfaso bi amaso na say kabubro na eko ediama omo eye say nwuma no so kai pa sema mpani dada na nadodankwa Akufo-Addo penso emra gihog no mu gina omo naso no omo eye omadwen say 24-hour economy wono mo eye bia na omo ye adwuma anopa awia anwumra na dwodesuo mu nyina no na wodomo eye adwuma na duru ba bi no mu se omo ne ama na omo ye de kodwa so no amanfo nto ne hyew sane wo se enkomo to no a kebe mo ma ye adwuma na dwodesuo mu nyina aka ho nte duru ba bi na kyese eka na emene adwumako no a ema wo mo etwa so nto se 24-hour economy no a NDC amanyoko di adan prawa namu a omo ewe ne dwedwedwedwe no so metima ye no ma ye niye ama Ghana fo atiase a na ne ho behia se nwumeko ombe sa ne ma ne nyina no omo ne ma omo be no omo enya atofo ama ma to ne ma ne hyewhyew ade ama omo basa no a obi nka nkire nwumeko ahodo no so omo nya adwuma anopa awia ene anadwodesuo mu nyina ono aboko Kwadwo Opon Kroma enchechemu a wode emaye.
You have investigative reporters. Let them go across the DVLA outlets that are supposedly doing 24 hours and go and bring you reports on what is going on there. That's what I'll say to you. You remember Gihok?
I do.
Gihok announced that they were starting 24 hours. A few, like they say on social media, a few moments later, the MD came back and said that they are going to cut back from the 24-hour. Why? Because it did not make economic sense. You can force yourself that we want to operate 24 hours. Let's go there and see whether indeed there will be customers showing up at 24-hour, like the off 8-hour shifts to do all these transactions. When you have created an economic framework where there's effective demand, you don't need to even set up an authority to tell people to go and work 24 hours. I was telling one of your colleagues who runs a cold store that if at 11:59 p.m. there's a queue in front of your cold store with people with cash in hand that they are buying your products, will you close your cold store? He says no. I'm like, so a night economy or a 24-hour economy, and that day on the floor, we gave them the list of the various cities that were doing 24 hours. None of them set up an authority. You focus on demand. But if you are running an economy where because you want to achieve a headline inflation rate and show people that inflation has come down to 3.8, you do sterilization. You suck the money from the system. About 60 billion cedis sucked out of the system. And so liquidity for people to generate demand is not present. So that your inflation will come down to 3.8 and everybody will say, wow, inflation. Go to page 284 of the 2026 budget. It's there in black and white. They were challenging it. I don't know whether they haven't read their own budget. It's there, black and white, that the Bank of Ghana sterilized, in fact, 62 billion cedis for the year 2025. That's money they took from the Ghanaian economy because they believe that there's too much currency in circulation, chasing fewer goods and therefore causing inflation.
This year, Wolf once I get a beer baton person so a poem and then the honorable Kojo Ponkroma 24-hour economy. And this year, man, you coni and this year buying. Yes, a woman dana prawa na mo wene je. Said no never says or may sabre and in a tibiano nana or casade afahon.
Ukwade chewo and I knew Muslimi for a few or ma come to chrono assay. Na enim se akobasa no mo de boso mentem ne si ho no mo de o mo yefunu ato ho abompaye enso ede aka ho enam saye so vice president edema oman Ghana Her Excellency Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajeman enso ede enchia eni afi aede kakra bi ede akwakoma yenwanu muslimifo a wo ewo Cape Coast Central wodi akọ Central Mosque ho ene ode ko ya wodi ekomo mo so omunye na omo so akomchechonto akonkun akwantuo yi omo tuoi omo so enye niema ene tumi mboa ema adwede no omo ye no enso enko boko niema bi ode ko ye na emo eka ho afi insuo ka ho milk eka ho sikire ka ho ene niema hodo bebre ena Professor Jane na Opoku Ajeman ede so ma ya eko ye na opanyi anase opanyi ono ede niema eko ye mrashebedwani a wono ewo Cape Coast North ho Dr. Kwamina Minta Nyako wono ene de ko ya okogina na nemu ede semsei etoja
adoye yezma oye Muslim communities na wo oye Central Region and our respective constituencies no inti your position ya ye na ya babem za na chedore yekodoye inti nde ozase this meaning the memra na memfa oye nyame yemfama oye Muslim communities no ya fasting baby yes you need fasting Ramadan is about fasting, it's about prayers, it's about reflection, it's about community. Inti omomoze wonsum na mpaibo bia wo bobu bia so wakai oyo mampain wakai na so wakai Ghana na anamon bi obutu bia so otum akoyi magana so afone tampa ozifra on the shebe be aba this is the youth ebi won say aka watch fan to the community police ebi menye bi CCR security services wo aza orokodo other respective state organizations in also we would work from Kofu. It's mama make sure mbebunu nkwan the omanpezi shebe bi oroba nyame be yadom akoko nkitinti a onzo wo be hyase mbebuna wonso onyu age agriko no obi amoze na onye den onhwe na onso na onso mfanye adwuma na oboa ma owo kan na ze miji de onte bi omanpezi nkasa obubu atugan na ina yenyom yensu yehuma ozreba na mama sra inde mbebunu drugs akọ na nyama na wozo won agim rebo tasre e wonya boter na nyame be ya adunu bibia so akoyi na wona abro na wo brabo na worobon on so wotu zesi peyo
tinene wono wode Dr. Kwamina Minta Nyako okọ Cape Coast North ho wona ye mrashebedwani a owo ho onu ne kogina Vice President Professor Jane na Opoku Ajeman anemo wo Cape Coast Central Mosque ho a ode Ramadan Mubarak Ramadan nchia stronko ni ayedie eko edekoma enu no muslimi fo
afei mfamo enko apom dine mo mrasme dwani o mrasme je fie ma de hye wo se hwedwabo so abato mpeso aso honorable kwabena minta kando no akro no a ene saso yeso afo a osho mayi yapom dine won sansam so na wati ansantwefo na so se agenda 111 ya MPP aban ye twa mu ya na mampani na nado danko akufo ado wachima PSA be ma bo ada di animu wono ede ba ne nyese bia mampani jo mama ne ndisi aban ye ba ye omo ba betwitwi o mani se pani boni bia wayin from aboni wa VIP bus wo ho wono ebehwe no ma ye ho adwuma no ma ate o mo nsafri ho emeso abanfaso de ama o mamu ne nyina ono abokobna mita kando de sansemi tijawabra na wakompasetuo enrada ewo eye kolebu aban ye asabia na omudwumedi ahodo omudi no honom no odne ne ko twawisi ane ne ti asantamo kwakodi eche no ye ne se aban no aye nhihye bi se omne ankrankre ba beto kese de friend se public private partnership wa etwa ne ti friend se PPP no enu bi na aban no ba beye na agenda 111 hospitals ya abanda dande ne nsaka ye nyina no omo ene ankrankra to kesa sosum adada no ate omo nsafri ne nyina ho awie emeso abanfoso amamu ne nyina ama boam yapom de ne ho nsansam so no agina brane honorable kwabena minta akando.
Agenda 111, a lot of uncompleted, ongoing structures in the country, more than 100. The reality is that we cannot have money to complete all these 100 facilities within the next 1 year or 2 years. So what we are doing is that, again, we are going to bring the private sector in. One, corporate Ghana. So the mining companies and the telcos, they will help us finish, equip, give it back to government, but they will have what you call tax deductibility. So we have spoken to the finance minister, and the finance minister has agreed.
The provost of the college
to the finance.
I am Rasve Jenny or Woman Rasve Fima this year was such a job so about on Persia so honorable Kabna Minta Akando and yet no and Kenina agenda 111 and Como and baby Ayababe drew ne quaya bindi befaso. Anana ocheche moka kradi achre.
Owia TV ene wane guswa wo hwe ye wia pram to Owia Kaseɛ bɔ ne guswa ye chenchen nsem ne mo de esom wo sompa no waba na ode wadwentwe no so ate social media handles ti nyina so ama ye Owia TV official ene Owia TV platform ni nyina ya wo so de to so abreso en beje bre na ya kenkan de amount Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy wo mo di hwehwemu bia ba batu dwa no mo hwehwemu na asem afiri mu ba ye nyina and it's afie twemu 2025 no fourth quarter no bumu a de etoso miensa na na ehase ho no Ghana fo ase ensuo anase nkane abo mpo yetua ye emane broso omo kire se Ghana fo yetua mane broso be se 1.5 billion Ghana cedis sa na hwemu no a kemsi fo de abai sa ena echre na omo echre se Public Utility Regulatory Commission PURC fo omo hyehyɛ ahodo bi omo de ba ya exchange rate ho nsɛm ne sa na ma ne nyina na keka bo mu a mo omo wo san susuye ne se Ghana fo light be yetua ma ne broso afi etwa mu ba na wieye mu ho nsɛm yiti ye hwɛ se ye benya Owura Benjamin ensia ɛwɔ ahoma ne so no na executive director for Center for Environmental Management asa na ye betie no yanko ne nkotie nsɛm no a omo de etudwa no
like division of labor. We have all done economics before. Division of labor and specialization. We know the end object. Now, specialization is instituted when you want to achieve efficient, speedy.
Benjamin is here. Mr. Benjamin, good afternoon. Owia TV Sunio. Hello, Mr. Benjamin is here. Eguso aba homane say ebenya Owura Benjamin isia wono na ye executive director for Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy omokrata yo mudi abena nke na kodi nkomo ebisebisa ne ho nsa makoba ne say na etuama ne bro so mo yesika ebe maya ana sa akoba ne say no yenya ne carry forward no nkomo ntim frim ne ehu say ECG fo mom de ka na nke yehwese ebenya no ewa ahomane so na ye ne no atwetwe nkomo ne ebisebisa ne semfo abako mienu bi se Ghana we ne kura ne bi edi kan kura akoba se Ghana for yetua enkane abo amana bro so na aba ne se so den ene betumi aye afon egusu abo Owura Benjamin Nsia Owura Benjamin Nsia Owia TV so ni o ye ma ha
ya mini aba
ba cho mo pom ye de
nyame adom de ache yen
ye da nyame ase wada ma ye sa kamokrata ne bi betuma kamusem kakra kire yen
hello you are not audible oh
me ba cho what me kan
aha me to ka
na me se ye sa kamokrata no e ka se 2025 ebe ko na wi ye Ghana for ase etua enkane abo no e ma ne bro so no ne ye penka ye penchemu kakra
okay me da asiminia ba o hwe ye nyina mkane abo na ye mu mienu ye wo multi-year and a quarterly tariff. Na quarterly tariff no yedi nema mienu na shebo no yedi market driven indicators and macroeconomic. Na mostly no market driven indicators na the cost of gas and as a fuel no any the source of energy no mostly constant and sheda ensesa. Nema mienu e tasesa abribian macro inflation and exchange rate. Into exchange rate I share one for the quarter. Now we had the actual exchange rate on the ground that it causes the pricing of electricity to be inflated because that projection was a bit higher compared to the actual. Until I buy projected 11 Ghana cedis 95, but actual was below 11 Ghana cedis, right? It was around 10 Ghana cedis 88. Until uti free more 1 Ghana cedi biano tia broso send was utia. We if you are inflation are buying a projected 12%. The actual average for that particular quarter is 6.6. So 5 percentage points more than the inflation. What it means is that the assumption is that so once you say Nema Bobe Diama utilities no by 12%. Nema no bono anye dian do 12%. The bono ye din do 6.6%. And this any boy din do 6.6%. Now the 12% the share bona say you swing in Amkanya Utiabroso. So Utiabroso Ubedia who say Utiabroso saying. So you have to look at gigawatt for that particular month. And a gigawatt is around 6,000 gigawatts. Now they are compute to these variations, especially the exchange rate. They are compute to who say Sikasi and Utiabroso. So the 1.5 billion is based on exchange rate over estimation and I say inflation and ama Utiabroso for that particular fourth quarter of 2025.
Alright, see wadama when you ready kaya oh my Ghana ya hu bibi say ana
yes, I think that the 2025 tariff system no and I say regime now this PRC implement rolling out has not been fair to the consumers in the sense that yet to first and second quarter of 2025 in the third quarter you say see the appreciate which caused a lot of over recoveries. But PRC share for third quarter one factor the over recovery in terms of certain tariff or scheduled to with frivolous justifications, especially cost of fuel 27% or so, reserve margin, debt in the sector, or to move also. But say fourth quarter adjustment now. The moment Ghana experiencing depreciation of the currency, experiencing under recoveries is being factored into our tariff structure. And say basana, you are not being fair to the consumer. Say a common consumer dia own factor in pricing, but say kutia dia now person the kahoma consumer here. And I think that is not the best. We need to look at a very fair approach. Ubeye adeno say kutia consumer mani kuntia and say ko buano so ana say kwa amana anyamfa so bia mani nyamfa so so that ebema bribian consumer no be build trust in you. Ubeji we say oh yeah juma serve the interest of the utility provider as well as serving your interest. But say consumer no be jitum say adena wo ye no o serve utility provider no kwa interest against or no interest. I think that that should be no odi susue bi anase bi ba on support, and that will be the disregard for credibility of this particular institution, which is a very reputable institution, PRC.
Yera ECG ebetuma ka say ni da ho ade na o maye anase ni faso
PRC, I think over the time, I can't asem ebi o ha betuma ka say omun share that, but sometimes if you look at historical trend of the data, I think that I can also say that be o masheda kakra. If you look at the trend, because there are a lot of things I agitate say the omushek kania bo kromano sebio enyene papa mua, but all green sebio ombe correct no omon correct no masa repeat same mistake in another time. And I think that say it was so there, it means that almost shada and almost research man.
Mr. Nsie wada ma yeje omo akokra no Ghana for betima sori agina say ECG for omo fa isika mayana.
Oh, won't mean you say omo for sika mo but wait me their family kwan so say PRC tariff now was set what you have recently. I was say PRC fair kwan bi so na or adjusted that in subsequent quarters. Now also benefiting from overpayment of the tariff now.
Yo, ye yeje omo akokra no ECG enim say wo mo de omo meka so manya afaso da ye die ntia because ye hwe sika yi amakeken 1.5 billion Ghana cedi in excess na afaso okra ba ye na anu no ntimi reflect wo mo dwumadie ma wo susu say ye die ntia.
The usual problem, inefficiencies. We are not ready to resolve our challenges. We still think that burdening consumer no any bit and that has been the philosophy of these state institutions. How non control end user and so that will never solve the problem. The problem is that the utilities are not very efficient. They are not very effective in terms of revenue mobilization. And that should be your focus. How do you ensure that these utilities are very effective in capitalizing on their existing assets to mobilize huge revenues for the sector? How are they efficient in terms of cost management? Sometimes you may not even need so be just a tariff upward like that.
Yo, Mr. Nsia, ne kwakwa mo wadama we no sika na eburu so ye kase ye cha ye betu media ne abusa Ghana ni bia tua sei individually ena man buru so.
And we even to me because of the audio, but generally that's the amount we like 1.5 billion.
Mr. Nsia,
meaning the own fee. All right.
Okay. Owia TV sunie da se no bre.
Oh,
Benjamin Nsia wono na ye executive director Ewo Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy ene nikodi komana na yawe yenkwaje esika ebro so.
Yenkwaje de o. Na ye no so osese a wontimi nkyire ye.
Ekura se ye de kwa se na ye 1.5 billion. Ti court re hwem kura na de.
Na se Ghana for ebe 30 million.
Ti divide ya.
Omo na se mu be 20 million.
Ure ye fa working age no. Aha. Oh ye benya sika kakra.
Ebenya kakra. Na we no mbetua ma yen so omo send ye mobile money ana se om de bet sebia om de bet credit aguso amaye ever easy edinio obza for yen talk as yen so ba na yen for free lights bill in sensemi ho na ja yen for mo enkombram I put it to you for no so wo mo akache na no oda na beto dwa se penny on a Ghana ya tentre ne ho nsensem so me chief justice justice Paul Bafo Boni ene na pam for tenase a wono mo akwawre wa kobusa plus ya times ya dwene ho hunu se ya na mpempi amanfo do masem ekokoto a ya na asem no chese eche ena se beka kra de amano a se ne ebesi adada asem no ne bekokọ wiase na wo ya no kra na bam kra bu dodo no kra ja asem na chiri di a na gesa asem na kwakobo eye court no so a omo ho de omo fa bia na saade no ena nam so me ya tete se chief justice ayen hihye bi se efri sabre ye ekoi Ghana ye court ahodo no omo ebeye adwuma anopa ne awia na gesa judgefo no bekọ anopa ne awia we ekọ anopa kakra na okodi asem no a na ebobe no mienu no obra no na sore na nke bia nka adwo soso akwakote no na awia no na nke ono soso aya akobo no nsia na so ono soso bepone ama nipa afro aba beto aso a na oba beto aso opani a wona ye judicial secretary Owura Ahmed Musa eno de sansem tu dwamra na ono nsantwefo edi nkomo efa mpempi no ano eya na case ahodo a eya na kobo peso sa ya pese e o Ghana court ahodo num eno wo chese mpanifo adwene ho asia o ma ye nhihye pi no a sese anopa ne awia ena eba be ye adwuma o Ghana court ahodo num a ebenam so ama case ya na ebo peso bebrebe no eso atimi ate ama manfo anya gidie e wa tentere ne wo mo adwumadi ahodo a wo mo edie mo.
Like division of labor, we have all done economics before. Division of labor and specialization. We know the end object. Now, specialization is instituted when you want to achieve efficient, speedy, and effective production. We take it back to the court. The court is to deliver justice to all manner of persons without fear or favor. And we have several divisions of the High Court. What the Chief Justice envisages is to put the scale of justice on a scale of specialization, which means that he wants to achieve what the principles I have enunciated: effective, speedy, and efficient adjudication of cases.
Which is what the law actually says.
That's right.
Justice delivery should be.
That's right. If you go to the rules of court,
yes,
the CI 47 rule 1,
yes,
order 1, it tells you the purpose for which the rules are established. It says to achieve efficient and speedy justice, and that is what the Chief Justice seeks to bring into being.
Our Judicial Secretary, Ora Ahmed Musa, and Yetin in Kenya, na Ochechem. Say Ghana te mo for ajaje for no a wono mo ebeye adwuma no pa ene awia no pa ne awia se be na case a aba peso se ya pesi gu court no omatimi eye ne nyina afiri ono mo na asaso aboa ma manfo gidie e wa tentere ne ho nsensem atumpone no ana na obobo so se edu ba bi kra no a kwasi bronika ne specialization ye wa asem bi ono mo ye de be koto judge so mesie ne mo a eya na eche na so de koto obentie ne mo a esan so onim de soronko fa ho nti no ya na ekọ entem ne ho nsem eno no na sa asem we nti ye kwa oma no so na ye ne Dr. Kwaku ana ne jinde akwakode enkomo ye obi a wabini ye pa e wo Ghana mra ene emra ho nsensem no sa so kira de etete a lawyer fo ewo eye gempa me ne nkodi nkomo ye musa se Ghana judge fo be kwa adwuma no pa ne awia no pa ne awia yi eno no be ni se ni doc awia ye mo ha mo akwa bo sa so ma official pa
ni na mejimuzo na kumase te senyo
erade adum kumase boko na mososo e mo ho ye
nyame piase ye ho ye
ye de erade ase na se ye se munia no ma judge fo yi wo mo be kwa adwuma no pa ene awia se be ya case ahodo no a abo apeso se ya apesi gu court a ema court zem no nkontem wo no ebeboa no no mo be ne se no no a
yo minia ba me na wase Ghana obi edu no de tema kwame nkuma share law school ase no na Ghana population here 4 million.
Okay.
This is you go almost 30 something million. Now we share UN statistics say o man bia no e was say lawyer to population ratio no e was say lawyer ba ku bia o timi hwe nipa 500 international standard no but Ghana your ratio ni one lawyer ba ku e was say you see a show bia one lawyer is to 7,900.
Hey.
Yeah. Lawyer for entity was face independent basis no. You see a check Ghana for population no so lawyer need be 7,900 clients.
Like I said, you need to akra.
Aha, in teacher say lawyer for here more man no. Na ye de my dream say we are no more want to know but stop problem no because there be a population no increase. Okay. The be ya bill na area parliament say yemie mu na schools like Gimpa ye professional training no makola no ye decentralizing no ye jitu mu a play like Gimpa ye betima ye professional training among kola no as I say me no ka say makola omo use ye campus use ye lecturers use ye library. Rather than mama ya yenye training, we are no mina kwachina exam. You know, we are in a crisis situation. Omu workload ne doso. And a judge be so uko amanonia. Judge be our research assistant.
Okay.
And the research case be and their support to decision I will make it or right now be decision obey no obey here at least 2 research assistants now we search we na we search we na be a draft na but Ghana there you need this
okay
intina omo adwuma no adoso a omo entimi wie ni nyina akobia se yenye adwuma awia ni anwumre no and this is an emergency situation emergency situation so a emergency measures and say enuntina judicial service omodis anhihye no aba
na docs kakra bi still omukwa no pasa asem no ka na beka obi say kakra bi no ana
sana dey because madam will be a minimum senior judge bi okay kire me say 2 months to go on legal holiday no now better 600 cases are also throw and sana wako.
Hey,
600 cases. Judge Bako. Ndi mata, adwuma no dawson, but adwuma yefo no nani ho. Sama Brown for one region no. Uko the whole Brown na Attorney General na so baby ombebo answer na bedru court kra no. Na the whole region, Attorney General almost up lawyers they were now more by 5 for 29 districts.
Hey.
In the Ajumano, Master, lawyers do so. In the entry anymore. Now, a banso, Entwana Mobia, judges, or more Kakiano, Eboko and Nimka, first no name,
But he said,
until the said, yeah, 2004, 2005. Omupaja Mukakra. Improve more condition of service. Ain't now almost law courts bebree e wo kuma se kura ya be si bangalows or my judges send e be ya attractive yes adia judiciary no wo makati ya no nya nansan ya anka eni animu sa
nenye na lawyer adia ba ko so amanfo ka ho asem yese law school no kura na obekọ yese ne board den dodo school fees board den book board to den ni nyina so ka ho na amanfo ntimi mayo ana
ya no kura. When say Lord is expensive, me baby I'm going Gimpa. Every year, your students pay 21,000.
Afibia.
And you pay 3 years, 21,000 times 3.
Chop money, my.
Baby, justice that no book we are watching on constitutional law in Ghana. I have 2,000 Ghana cedis. Book back
20 million.
20 Ghana. And I be cried Kofia Boche ni lawyer ni book on jurisprudence. On cried on 3,000.
30 million.
Yes, book back on.
Na say the lawyer, ye nyina ye ka wo bi na ma de ne bo aye dini ama manfo mu ntimi mabia na.
Say nim die board.
No correct.
Obetro book no, research instant. It will take about 2-3 years. Now I book back. But we are on tornful. And a law no so is a very expensive course. Obia peso yebia. You bo ho sika semo. Anka public library. Law libraries anka buying to books no go kwa. Na ehia se wo benye copy o. And you call library na se bi wo ho a. Na what you so uwia na waja ho na woko. Ba woko ye law libraries no bebre University of Ghana. Ni ada here ni jimpa na ya de ahon de atoto ye books agumu a. Most of the law libraries in the law schools is nothing to write home about. Enti no honso aba pese eba fomu a libraries no so aba nhwe na resource libraries no so because who call law without a proper law library mini a obebre.
Na amanfo so say mo so lawyers no a yese mo sheda fan trekese kwan bi so e ma case ne che se be ya mo bedidi ho saa yese mo ne
David masa enya no kre amanfo adwen kire no ne bi they do understand masa wonye case a wo pese wo ye case no na efri ho uko wanim you don't want to hang on one case for so because who did it who say then if I watch out to say bia meju taku meju dama and it is your own interest ye be wie no ntem na ai makonye case fofra meto aso because cases no e be cho ho too much it brings a whole lot of complications and you be aka say lawyers are shed down na omo ya enya no kre esa so omo ntia dima no ase o Because and no be now witness out here say obeba no kra no he is out of the jurisdiction. Almost a critical witness o pese o de kawasem. Enti wo dia man oni obey you only call for adjournment. I hope say that critical witness no e be do hono na waba. And I say information be wo ha who hear information be nipa no be more that information as a witness or you're at the hospital. Who do mean for say hospital so come and make a witness statement and I say come and take the witness now na mean your cross examination. And the adman no amanfo a omuti ache no omoji di say lawyers na ache do lawyer there okokoto a on she date o judge na she date. Maybe I be make my say oh my lord and then my client we amba enti no obe hia say obe wo ho na ma cross examine no enti mesre enti adjourn. Adjournment no it is at the discretion of the judge. Lawyer no wuni hu timi. Osi who qualify for adjournment na say ntona so we ka say WWE timi fa nkwa chiri sa enti come and continue your case. Enti adjournment no enye lawyers no judges no the court no judge no court lawyer dey who dey uko ye power okeke enti no wuni hu timi bia say obema case no delay that be enye no kre.
Okay enti na yes ade ndi utietie mu pa ba akoye agegefo na ketua enye na a lawyer for so ntetie mu no ka na ewom no so no ka wo bi na ama ye ni enough lawyers any enough judges na ya na e ma ne kobasa wo ho.
Yeah, sa pepe unim 2004 or 2005 thereabout. Sama na ai Akufo-Addo ye Attorney General no. O commission some report. Say yenhwe lawyer for do a government department bi ade here. Yeah, no. Now that time, you be have lawyer for 12,000.
Hey,
because this assembly be a here lawyer.
Okay.
Government agencies be a government department be a here near in-house lawyer.
Okay.
What to for and so what to anamobia. But you need in the these assemblies, omunibi municipal, omunibi government department, omunibi YE, omunibi education service, national service secretary. And can also omunina anya lawyers. The bibia ba what two organization no for and sana organization no atu anamon. So you think a police work no any question ka police work court
no correct.
Nabi the prosecutor proud to prosecute no e wa attorney general no article 88 say any attorney general staff across the country no and I want here ni tumi no kakra dia ma police report say ukoye case bi na say enye too complex wa utimi the court but eno kura no wachi obi wo ayi doman uye wi a e wo so bi document no cost nwan ma attorney general they will advise you sometimes no advise no timi di 8-9 months na enye mai
na ni pa ni dem
and you tell you oh police ni na ko jiska police ni no nyi sika o advice no e was attorney general dey ba from Sunyani no e mai e say the whole region bravo no na lawyers e wo ho attorney general department they were 5.
Wow. Na lawyer Ghana lawyer for nyina say eye be say would wani bu a Ghana lawyer for nyina say
it's about 10,000 thereabout yeah.
Okay na yes o say ye bi kan ye bi gum more
I was there 30 more. And I say munyina mu meye bi no. Metima ye.
Lawyer ne boarding na ya ne hunahuna ye. Baba. Dog nyame sira opa wie wo de yakọ school a church nse munyame sira opa.
Ezo me da ma say nyame sira obi bia.
Yo abusafo we eye Dr. Kwaku Ananejinde ene ne na kwakode nkomo no yo bia wabene ye power mram eno saso etetia lawyer for ewo gempa ene wie oni abon nkomo wo za.
Yen ko fefi mansemo ye ko akuna swedro na district no wo mo ye games bi wo district ni na anwetwa mu ye fiada no na ekọ wiase na adesuafo a we den ka agro na kwom kodie no na mentebe ho ase bi asi amebie prepra no ekoye arehosem pa ye ka sei opanyi ba kwa bebo amane se adesuafo no mo prepra ye no omudo mo koje arehwe amasese die bi mo ho eya o ma discharge o mayi wo mo masan akosuku mu a o mo akwakotoa o ma desua eso doctor Otami wono na wo kirechire mu se ebi wo kwa Saturday no ano mo hwe wo mo na eja omu yi omu na Sunday ne so omu hwe omu nka omu kaye no omo mayarehwa na omo hoto omo a eja omo eyi omo na nchemu no kire se adesuafo a omo wo Obrachere Senior High Technical School womo na chese womo ekoto hye Suadro School of Business for so a eno ne kofa pinche no obe ne bebre de eba ye ko wiase eno ama bi mu prepraya eno no akwakoye aroho seminante eno sa chese awofo bi akosuku ahodo ni makọ akohwe omo ma ne ho sampa se de omo ho ya ne sa eno so eye ensemo a efi mantemo na Central Regional Director of Education omo so abaponti abekasa so omo de omo na yesi form amaye kasa ya sumdue wo ho adesua for omo prepare nyina so omo do makwa yarehwe ama omo nyina ho ye as say de omo yi bi memenda no eyi bi so kwasi ada omo asen akosuku mu a omo akwakoto omo adesua so awofo so mama omo kwan ama omo do omo ni abasuku so ahodo ni ma aba be hye omo ma no abehu se ampa omo ho ye na ke hwese benya gregory ewa homa ne so ne nedi nkomo ebisa ne se enei no suku mo te se ne mekose ye nya no nti adwumre nya no a ye beto asa nkomo boyi eso
ye nto aso na ye mfomo enko ensamfufuro ma ena no pai oman ni yadubu ache etena se ewa adechi adwumadie so ewo Owia television so a na odidi nkomo dwendwen oman konkron Ghana ho na nkomodie no mu kokoduru se nanu ada ye mampeni John Dramani Mahama na monto bi otu ye se special kwesi Peter Owia Kaseɛ jaben ko adubia na nipa bi ebono se na dwuma ye nso ani nti ebe ya omunyina mamra constitution ya mamra nchi ama so enyini mfemfiri wono ya mampeni ewo so edekoma chief justice ya chief justice so kokotena se kwawre wa kobuta aberwa plus ye tamse keka ne mesi ani a owe ne se efini kika wabi ani owura no ho anu nti mampani nya no onye na adwuma no sa asemwe no ase NDC amanyoko achitafo pi no ano omo ebonyo so titiri ene de fa electoral commission ba penny ma me jemensa ene na bedi ekire ba miensa omo eka no ho a omo so ko adu ampanimfo de bo wonum no eko mampani anim ma mampani wo so de koma chief justice no chief justice mo fifi mu didi mu baba mu yuje mu no omo se efini kika wabi ani wo mo ho nti mampani nya wo mo na omo enye omo adwuma kese owura NDC amanyoko no mu sese ya akwakoye anwinwi ene kasa kire na ekoso se omo fisa NDC mpanimfo ne mampani dwamama omo eya de niam bi adidi agrododo a ekosen kasamre se owura no nyina omo yi wonu mafiri ho no mo ebizom fi so ne NDC amanyoko no eni ne yi na sa nkomo we koso ewo NDC amanyoko mu no ene na no pe oman yine yadubu ache tena se a woni wiase nyina eja dwendwene Ghana ho no woni maame Anita di so odi nkomo ena obusa ne se nwinwi we ya ekoso NDC mu sese no obebua ne senie na nsem okaye eni
the NDC wo power esoniema judges ne mpanyimfo bebre eye me to me ne de metimi akasa bi a judges ne sa mpanyimfo no omo ye sa de no omo ye MPP fo maka because ye NDC a anka manesa nanso nam se NDC ye pe asumdwi nti ne metimi aka kire mpanyimfo nyina ne se me wo maka no ye mfa ne sa na se wo ba wo fie na wo bedi watam ye ubibia no anka da obetwa waso afiri ho no na obehu se wo ba no ya na onye temi de futu am de beba NDC fo nyina na se enja bibia manenka se dru wo mo so na wo mo a wosemra no wo mo ye ni yie na wo mo so wo mo nye ni yie a emre ne beba kakra me de metumi aka na wo mo nye focus na ye adwuma ide ato wo se be ya magana no ni enye magana kakra metumi aka na meka no me no mani nye ho
me Anita di so eni etene nka no yobi a odimu ewa NDC amanyuku ma ne mpanimfo a yeso mabodwusem nwi to adonko ye nyinara ewo party no mu no abzanfo waka ho bi wabene pa ewo party no na ochese de yesie ne de omo beka ne se agitafo no enkoma komanto omo yem no omo se ebre ene nkrabia ene bekire abzanfo ye gina we so ne de awie yi pram to breka se no esiyem faseda ema enyuma eku no adwa yen kwai
yede na se ma Jaben Rural Bank say yen kan cho se dwana wudie na opesomufo obeboa wo a onko to bibi mesha wo kon me ha wo a wono pe na wo se wo ba na kache Jaben Rural Bank beboa wo ama mo amokofa ne ma ba no obema obesi ade beso ase we no nya fe na kofa odan krata bia bra efa beye collateral bia enim enansi hu nso ketewa bi a wankasa wo mo di dwa no a obehu se ampa mo dwe wo ho ma no so ba ye bema obatampa loan no we no manko a ene de sa loan yi de mo obatampa loan no oba ye de bema wo ama na so wasene ama wo nso gwadwuma a wo je no yetumi aboa ama wo bodwa wo table so ade ton ene ni nyina etumi aboa ama wo nso ho etumi atokodwa bi rural bank branch e ben wo bia ne koje loan ni bi ensi hu bia ensi hu na eketua bi ena afa nso dem di kan ka kire wo no enya afa na collateral kofa we no mesan ha ma o medi agina mu ma da bi dwabi rural bank enye sa asempa loan nso ho oba dwabi rural bank ebe ma obi 24 hours in term na wo saka sika no a wo de edi dwumagana ha de ye wo ba bia ti de oba ya so be fra dwabi rural bank na no mo edi ka so de wo numbers no 0544 745 856 0544 745 856 and that's 0271 464 327 0271 464 327 and that's 0260 970407 0260 970407 Rural Bank eswo mo ene the best oba usika kura bia mu ayonko de ayomo a omabua ama wo saka loan no a wo pen no maso wasene am adwuma ne so nya no nko a current account a savings account fixed deposit me da chinti savings di nyina ewo dwabe Rural Bank ko a obenya bi ye wa aboa so ye wo sepeti mpomo yatena kese no ewo dwabe se de atonso dwom ho ye sa the branch ba kwa bebo ho a mu nyina mo nkoi na mo ko dwabe Rural Bank ho na mo mo enkodi ka so bom afi emo pefie ese en kan cho se ope mu a anuncio eda ye jambi rice no ayede aba no eno ye premium quality rice ene yede aba wo mo pefie na ka chepe ena wo benya ede anua wo mo no ade bi ede mo ye bia ete se ye mo pefie mo ne bi ena wo kwakoje premium jasmine rice ne bi na bibia so aye kama ye sanso ewo jambi soya bean oil eno ne anwa papa no a wodi a etere ketere so a wo be wie na afi anwa na wo ketere so na abofo wo na wo kwan amaman anwafo ade aduane ntia bra mo pefie akache beji jambi soya bean oil ne be eno so babo amaduane bia ade bia de anwa ye bia o de ya ye yummy tomato paste no so ye du twam ma wo stew ne ye fe ojollof no ebe ma na ye kama wo de wa imagine sa wo de ye jambi soya bean oil yi ne wo de yummy tomato paste di aye stew wo na wanwa ye jasmine rice no na ade aboso so de aye jollof a wo hwe ade ni wehwam ede esa akono mo pafie nko a ene betumi aye sa ama edum ye ben Oirepa FM afi so media so ye ben Parks and Garden from opefie our 0244615117 0244615117 emopefie emu amoye provision store mo koya kachi na mo kotu ni bebre uba betu abone wo form wo de compare that we no say awe no ade papa at affordable price de kama na bo no so da for my emopefie akachi na wo benya ne sa omo na wiai omo so yasene ema Owia TV ya prompt Owia Kaseɛ bono yetumi de bro Kaseɛ bodi mu na se de ma news room adwuma yefo so kuku ajando wo ho na afia kosu asomoa omo ene boabo ansem ya no ema yesamfo Era Benedict Asante yebo eso so chimo de esoma ye ko MCR ho so a oba ya Grace wo ho ni Simon na yaw Alfred ene nka yefo nyina ena cheso omo so chinchim fuma no ema wo hu ye kama me de news yi ebe somwo eranuanu mienu awie ye begina haide Kaseɛ boyi ma wo medin de adwoa nyako abro no mamene
ana ya abo amali bi aboga